Hello and welcome to another Office Hours capsule. That's right, capsule. This is a small segment of my Office Hours live stream that I do on Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. You can see right here, here's chat, both YouTube and Twitch. Say hello, chat. They'll probably lie to you and say this is pre-recorded or something. But today, we're going to talk a little bit of the sections of one of the latest news, the roadmap roundup. This is one section of this live stream. So if you would like to come down, join us live on Thursdays at twitch.tv/theastropub or youtube.com/theastropublive. You can come join chat and then join the discussions. We do this, we watch ISC, we check other things, but not all of it necessarily gets put into these small little capsules. So come join us live. And while you're here, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell icon to be notified when these are released and when I go live. That being said, let's look at the first roadmap roundup of the 2023. What year is it? 2023. Yes, 2023. All right. Roadmap roundup 2023. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Every 2 weeks, we accompany the roadmap update with a brief explanatory note to give you more insight into the decision-making that led to any changes. This is part of an effort to make our communications more transparent, more specific, and more insightful for all of you who help make Star Citizen and Squadron 42 possible. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this week's roadmap roundup. CIG Community Team. Notable changes for February 8th, 2023, Alpha 319. The upcoming release of Alpha 318 brings important advancements to the technology behind Star Citizen. The highlight of this update is the persistent entity streaming, which represents a monumental effort from our engineering teams. We are eager to share this update with more players soon and are thrilled about improvements it will bring. To ensure server and client stability in Alpha 318, both before and after launch, our team has decided to extend the 318 branch for an extra patch cycle. This will allow us to address any issues that may arise. As a result, the next update following the release of Alpha 318 will come before Invictus launch week and will feature a variety of new and exciting content you can read about below. Although this update is designated Alpha 319, it will be built in the Alpha 318 codebase. For some context, this isn't new. CIG does this quite frequently. They've done it with most recently with 316 was built off of the 315 codebase. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, I think 3.5 was built off the 3.4 code base. They usually do this when they're kind of rushed, when they want to get through, or when they are adding things and they want to keep the stability of the previous patch going. Because usually if they have like a nice stable sort of thing. So it is still 319. It's still going to add new content. It's just not a brand new branch of the code is all that it means. So to answer everyone's burning questions about that, it's not new, and no, CIG's numbering system doesn't have any purpose at all. It makes no sense. It has no consistency. It's just how CIG works. Our production teams are currently evaluating the feasibility of integrating originally planned 319 content into the Alpha 318 branch. The items we are adding to the release view today are subject to change and additions. Nonetheless, we wanted to share our tentative goals as of now, with potentially more updates, changes, and additions coming in the roadmap updates ahead. So, this means that this is the first round of information we're getting in 319. This will expand over time. So as they confirm, I think it's something like 65% or something like that for confirmations. Like 65% sure that it will make it in is when they add it to the release view. And even then, it's not guaranteed until it's committed, which is like 80 to 100% committed to, or like sure on that. Release view. The following cards have been added to Alpha 319 column on release view. Lorville Cityscape. Reworking the Lorville skyline to better fit the scale of the city and its distinctive buildings. Okay, it's pretty fast. New player experience. An initiative for improving the initial first 30 minutes gameplay experience, which will help players understand the context of the world and introduce them to some of Star Citizen's basic features. This update focuses on the experience in Area 18 and Bikini Point. That's faster than I thought, especially since the new interaction system isn't coming in 3.19 as far as I know. That's a later addition, which will fundamentally change how things work. Maybe they're making it more flexible? Now, for those of you who haven't been following along, CIG has said that last year increased like massive numbers of active players. Something was peaking at something close to like 500,000 people. Or was it 50,000? I can't remember. It was a lot of people were no, it couldn't have been 500,000. It's got to be like 50,000. There was a lot of people who were playing Star Citizen, much more than they had in the past. And this is what drove them to making the new player experience. But I'm surprised it's getting this quick, going out this quickly. And for those of you who are wondering, because I've heard some people kind of make snark comments about like, oh, it's just going to be some tool tips. No, I've talked about to Dave Haddock, the lead writer, narrative lead for CIG, and talked about this very specific thing on my other channel, The Astro Historian. I'll put the link up there to that video if you want to watch it. And he talked about the thing they were struggling with, and this was back in fall, was trying to introduce people into the universe using this experience without being too gamey. So this is not just some tool tips. This is going to be kind of like a mini tutorial of some cases, especially since it says Area 18 and Bikini Point. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. New missions, salvage contracts. With more civilian access to salvage ships, contract brokers are offering salvage jobs for derelicts around Lagrange points around Stanton. These brokers charge a fee for their services, so this will require some buy-in, but the contractors are free to keep any salvage material for resale. They talked about this in the Star Citizen Live. They also talked about it in the monthly report, which we talked about recently. I just released it the other day, but it was we recorded it last office hours. So there's also another thing that they don't have here, which is similar, but for mining. So it'll be interesting if that also is going to be added or not, but it's hard to tell. New missions, Ghost Hollow PvP mission. Adding a new mission type to the Ghost Hollow point of interest in the Stanton system, making use of the comm array as well as the AI nav mesh. This mission will create PvP encounters where players will need to fight for control of terminals for a chance at big credit payouts. That's interesting. It's something that I think people have floated before, the idea of controlling an area and getting a lot of money for just controlling an area. If you've played games like the life simulation mods for Arma, they had something similar where if you controlled an area, you'd get a cut of the sales of certain stuff throughout the entire mission. So that's an interesting addition as well. Kind of like a mini jump town that doesn't require as much like sales of stuff. So, well, it's interesting to see that. Plus, it's mentioning AI nav mesh, so there's probably some AI buy-in as well. Progress tracker. Due to some format changes to the data we use for Progress Tracker, our update to both upstream and downstream teams in 2023 needs a bit more time to get sorted. You can expect these updates to come in subsequent publishes. That's all this week. You can join the discussion on Spectrum and check out the Roadmap Companion Guide for more information about Star Citizen Public Roadmap. Now, here's another thing. This right here, I'm not going to go through all of it, but this is something if you really want to learn about the roadmap and how it works. This is a great little guide. It talks to you about what the Progress Tracker does, what a deliverable is. It'll tell you all the little details, like how to read it, how you navigate through things, and the difference between upstream and downstream teams, even listing the upstream and downstream teams. Obviously, the upstream teams being the ones that create content, like tools, and the downstream team being the teams that actually turn those tools into gameplay. So, all of these sorts of things. So it's a very good read if you're interested in how to read the roadmap going forward. So, and it's always linked at the bottom of every roadmap roundup. So definitely check that out if you're more interested in that. So overall, is this doom and gloom? Are we only going to get 3 or 4 features in 3.19 because it's going to be just 3.18.x patch? I think it's just a little overblown, that reaction, but we will know more every 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we'll probably learn a little bit more stuff that's added, because that's how it works. Every 2 weeks, they come out with these roadmap roundups, and hopefully know a little bit more about progress trackers by then as well. But so far, that seems pretty interesting. That's pretty big. Lorville being replaced with just before Invictus, which is in May. The new salvage missions, a new PvP mission, and the new kind of like tutorial, only in ArcCorp, but tutorial, which is it's an interesting bag so far. I'm looking forward to seeing more. But I, of course, want to know your thoughts on any of this. Is this terrible? Are you absolutely upset that you're getting nothing from 319? Did this help you at all? Did this help you kind of help read it a little bit or give you that information? I'd like to know those things in your comments below, because that's how I know if these videos are worth it. And of course, you can always join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropub, AstroPub Live on Thursdays, and come join the conversation. But until then, like I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.